This episode of Logan Chopped Reviews is sponsored in part by Ion Games. It's in our nature. The Giveaway Geek. Hey Choppers, Logan here with another preview for you. This time it's for Monster Mania. It's by Meet Me at the Table Games, and it's coming to Kickstarter on December 1st. In this game, for 1 to 6 players, you take on the role of monsters that are rampaging a city, and you have to use counterattacks, attacks, support, and environmental cards to damage your opponent's monsters and win the game. Now, we're going to go ahead and show you the solo rules in this video, but we're also going to have a preview that's going to show you multiplayer rules. And there's also co-op rules for teams that you'll be able to check out when the Kickstarter goes live. So let's go ahead and get to some of the card explanations. It's Monster Mania. So the first thing we're going to show you is the player mat. There's 6 of these that are included with the game. And just remember that everything you see in the video is a prototype that was sent to us. Nothing is final to the end of the Kickstarter. So this is the player mat. You've got your spot. You can have up to 3 monsters attacking at once because this is your combat zone right here, like it says, combat zone. This is your support slots where you can play your support cards. This is where you collect your attack points. This is your rubble pile for your discards. And then you've got your spot for your prize points right here. And there's 5 different spots because you usually play till you defeat 5 monsters. You can get prize points, which are these little tokens with stars right here. You can get prize points whenever you defeat an opponent's monster, or if you end up killing off one of your own monsters, every one of your opponents will earn 1 prize point. So you got to kind of be careful, because some environmental cards can actually not only injure your opponent's monsters, but can end up injuring your monsters also. So there's a bunch of different tokens. Let's say those are the prize point tokens. You have attack points right here. They're shown by these little blue circles right here. You can, earn attack points to use for your monster's attacks. The prize points have little stars on them like that. There are turn reference points because some of your support cards will have countdown because they take effect for so many turns. So there's different turn points. We'll go ahead and throw those down there on the support right there. And then you have damage tokens, which have the red targeting, and they're in different denominations. You got like 5, 10. This one's 30. And they'll do damage to the monsters. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the cards in the game. First, every player will have a little instruction card right there, and it shows your actions you can do on your turn, and it has a little turn order down there. So the objective, like I said before, is the first to 5 prize points wins. You're awarded a prize point when you defeat a monster, or of course, if you end up defeating your own monster, each opponent gets a prize point. Your turn order is really simple. You draw from the deck until you have 5 cards in your hand, and at the end of your turn you can't have more than 10 cards in your hand, because some cards will allow you to draw cards from a shared deck that's in the middle of the table. Now, if you already have 5 cards at the beginning of your turn in your hand, you get to draw 1 card from the deck, so you will end up having 6 at the beginning of your turn. Then you perform any number of actions you'd like. Then you discard at the end of your turn from your hand any cards that you don't want, or you can just discard none at all and you keep everything that's in your hand. And then you end your turn and play passes to the left, going clockwise. The different actions on your turn you can do is that you can play basically any card you want to. You can play monsters if you have a space available in your combat zone. You can play environmental cards. They can only be played if you have a monster in your combat zone. You can play and activate support cards, because when you play support cards, you can either play them face down in your 3 slots, or you can play them face up and activate them right away. So you get to choose. Or you can play counter cards. Counter cards are what you'll play either on your turn or on an opponent's turn to counter an attack. And there's no limit to the amount of counters that can be played on an opponent's turn. Or you can attack with your monsters. So we'll set that out right there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the monsters. Now all the monsters have little punny names and little cute drawings on them. Like this one right here is a Behemoth. You see right there, and it's got the little red symbol up here showing that it's a monster. Oh, it should be noted that on the back of your instruction card is all the icons for the card. You can see the red up top there shows that it's a monster. And that's a monster icon right there on the top of the card. And it's got the title, Behemoth, and then it has how much health it has right there in the middle. You can see the Behemoth has 50 health. You deal 50 damage to it, it dies. And then it has its list of attacks down the bottom, how much it costs in attack points, and how much damage that it does. You can see like the headbutt costs 2, and it does a certain amount of damage. How much damage does that do? 10 damage over there. It costs 3 to do the lift-off attack, and it does 15 damage, and it costs 4 attack points to do the Light of Desire, which will do 30 damage to an opponent. And then it's got a little flavor text on the bottom. What's the Behemoth say? It said, an enormous moth released from a subterranean vault. It has a voracious appetite and is now hunting anything that breathes. Give you a little closer look at the Behemoth right there. Just show you another monster. They got the Giant. It's another example of a monster right there. It's got 65 health. Yeah, 65 health. And you'll see me taking on a couple of these during the solo video. So make sure you check that out. I'm going to be doing the Exterminator objective in the solo guide. And then me and Gothy will just be playing head-to-head in our multiplayer game. Now to get to the other kinds of cards that you've got counter cards. You can see it's got the little purple counter symbol up there. And the counters do different things. This one is leaping to environmentals. So this says, when an opponent would attack a monster in your combat zone, evade that attack from that opponent's monster. Then search the deck for an environmental and add it to your hand. That's good. Whenever you evade an attack, it still uses the attack points, but the attack does not happen. So your monster does not take any damage. So that's a little example. And then whenever you use anything is done, it goes to your rubble pile for discards like that. Speaking of environmental cards, this one's called Ferris Wheel. Nice little picture right there of him picking up a Ferris wheel. So discard to deal 15 damage to an opponent's monster. Or discard to gain 2 attack points. And environmental cards are the main way that you generate attack points, and you keep them right there in the little attack point spot. And then you'll spend them to do attacks with your monsters. So you discard this. Oh, I got 2 attack points. Here we go. 2 right there. And then I can spend that 2 to go ahead and do the headbutt by the Behemoth for 10 damage to my opponent. The last kind of card you have is a support card. You can see it's the little upturned hand symbol right there with a plus on it. This one is called a Killer Pillar. You can tell he's lifting up a pillar to try to hit something with it. So once activated, deal 30 extra damage for 1 attack, then discard your hand, minimum of 1 card. So when you play these, you can play support cards face down in your support row and save them. You don't have to activate them right now, but you can only play up to 3. You can only have 3 in play at one time. So, and how they work, some of them are continuous. This one is okay, on my turn, I'm going to turn it upright. I'm going to go ahead and activate it. I can, since it's activated, I can deal 30 damage for 1 attack. So, let's say I spend 1 attack point, and I got 1 left. To deal 30 damage to something, and then I have to discard my hand, minimum of 1 card. So I'd have to discard my whole hand into the rubble pile. I have to have a minimum of 1 card to be able to do that. But since this is fully done, this would get discarded into the rubble pile, and then I would have that spot open to play another support card, either face down or face up. Some of them stay in there and they use their turn tokens like that, the countdown, okay, it comes back to my turn, 1 more turn comes back, and it has an ongoing effect. The last thing I want to show you before we get to the gameplay is the rule book right here. This is a nice rule book. It's laid out with all the contents and the rules, just like a normal rule book tells you how to play everything. But in the back of the rule book are the solo objectives. You see, get that without the light glare on it. Solo objectives. It tells you how to set up for a solo game, which is slightly different from a regular game. And then they have the little objectives over here for when you're playing. Since you're playing yourself, against an AI, basically, it has the little objectives you have over here, like pest control. It said you have to defeat Tarantula, Behemoth, and the Giant with 1 monster of your choosing. Now, I'm going to do it because this one, the Exterminator part of it, says, win pest control, this objective, with Humongous. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be playing Humongous as my monster, trying to defeat those 3 monsters right there and get the Exterminator achievement objective done. But there's a lot of different ones in here, 2 pages. But then also they've got the co-op mode back here. It shows you where you can play as teams working together to defeat the other teams. And then all the way in the back of the book, they got other different game variants of how you could play the game. And the very last thing here is Monstrous Challenges. It tells you different things you can do to do any different challenges. Like here, Resourceful said win 2 to 6 player match and end with plus 10 attack points. So you got 10 attack points in your pool. Or the was that Nail Biter, win a 2 to 6 player match by only a 1 prize point difference. So it's got some different objectives, different monstrous challenges in the back right there, and then this full color picture. That's awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and get to the gameplay. All right, so I have everything set up here for a solo game of Monster Mania. I've got the 3 that I'm going to be taking on. 3 monsters I'm going to be taking on: the Behemoth, the Tarantula, and the Giant right there. And they've got 50 health on the Behemoth, 60 health on the Tarantula, and 65 health on the Giant. Now, my monster I'm going to be using, because if you refer to the guide for the solo rules, I'm going to be trying to do the Exterminator solo mode. So I'm going to try to beat all 3 of these with Humongous. And my life is at 50 is my health. And I've got my 3 attacks. I can spend 1 attack point to do a solid punch for 5 damage, 2 attack points to do a swift kick for 10 damage, and 3 attack points to do a deadly sin for 20 damage. Of course, I've got to earn attack points myself. Now, we're not going to worry about the attacks on the monsters for solo mode. You don't worry about the attacks. How it works in solo mode is after you finish your turn, because your turn is basically the same as it is in the regular multiplayer game mode, and you'll see that in the video I'm going to do with Gothy, playing 2 players head-to-head with each other. You play the regular turn exactly the same. You play your support cards, you play your environmental cards to do damage to the monsters, but whenever your turn ends and it goes to the monster's turn, since you don't have another player, how the AI works is for each monster, you turn over the top card of the deck, and depending on what it is gonna say like how they're gonna damage you. If you turn over a counter card, nothing happens. It just gets discarded to a rubble pile, and we'll keep that rubble pile right here in this empty spot here. If you turn over a support card, your monster does 5 attack damage, and it's good to signify that as an attack damage. It's 5 attack, because you can use counter cards in your hand against attacks, since they won't be using these regular attacks. Now, if you turn over an environmental card, it does whatever damage it says it does in environmental damage. Now, if it's an environmental card that does not signify any environmental damage, it's just going to do a flat 5 environmental damage. So let's go ahead and get this started and show you a couple turns, show you how it plays. So, beginning of the game, I draw 5 cards: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from the deck here. Let's see. I've got a couple things that I can do right away. Let's see. Let's see. Let's go ahead. Yeah. Let's go ahead. I'm going to keep. I've got a counter card in my hand, so I'm actually going to hold on to that. I've got the support card. 1 monster's trash. It says once activated, search your rubble pile for any card and add it to your hand. You cannot add 1 monster's trash or rubble rouser to your hand with this effect. So we're going to go ahead and put that card face down, because I don't have anything in my rubble pile, so I don't want to activate it yet. So I'm going to put it face down in my support row right there. So I'm going to go ahead do 20 damage upon A. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to discard Oil Truck, an environmental card. And this one lets me, when I discard, I can deal 20 damage to an opponent's monster, or discard it to gain 2 attack points. I'm going to discard this for that 20 damage. So let's go ahead and discard it. And I'm going to do that 20 damage. I'm going to do it right to the Behemoth. Since it has the lowest amount of health, we're going to go ahead and do 20 damage right there to him. I've got a couple other environmental cards that I could play. Let me see which one I have. I'm going to discard. I can discard Blazy Building to either deal 10 damage to an opponent's monster, or I can get 3 attack points, but then I got to choose one of my monsters and it takes 10 damage. So I'm actually going to get the attack points with this card. So I'll discard it to get 3 attack points. I'm going to go ahead and put my token right there for the 3 attack points, and I can use those later. But then I have to deal 10 damage to my monster. So even though my monster's only at 50 health, okay, now that puts me at 40. So kind of, but I think the 3 attack points are going to be worth it. It might help me finish off one of these creatures over here later on. I've also got a rocket launch. I'm going to go ahead, it's another environmental card. I'm going to go ahead, you can discard this card to deal 30 damage to an opponent's monster, or I can discard it for 4 attack points. I gotta choose one of my monsters to take 20 damage. It's like, ooh, do I want to use that now? I might want to save it for next turn to see about healing. Let's see if I can get some healing stuff going on. Okay, yeah, I'm going to hold over. I got 2 cards in my hand, so I'm going to hold that over until next turn. So now that my turn's done, it goes to the monster's turn. So first we'll flip for the Behemoth right there. It is a support card, so it is going to deal my monster 5 damage. I'll go ahead and stack that right there. Now we go to the Tarantula. Flip the card. Oh, it's another support card. So it's going to deal my humongous 5 more damage. So now I've got to take it a total of 20. I'm almost halfway dead. So the last one for the Giant, we're going to go ahead and flip it over. Oh, it's an environmental card. So you can see is that discard to gain 1 attack point for each monster. After choose one of your monsters, take it. So it doesn't deal any environmental damage off the bat. It just gains attack points, and then your monster takes damage for earning that. So since there's no damage that's signified on this environmental card, it just deals a flat 5 damage to my monster right there. So now I have taken a total of 25 damage. It is halfway dead. Oh, so now it passes back to my turn. I have 2 cards, so I will draw 3 because you draw up to 5 at the beginning of your turn. 1, 2, 3. Let me see if any of these will help heal. See, I got a couple support cards and another counter card. Oh, nice. Okay, that's a good counter card. I can use that later on. But no real nice. I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, let's see. Behemoth only has 30 life left. So actually I'm gonna go ahead I might actually yeah, I think it might be worth it. I'm gonna discard that rocket launcher. Even though it's going to deal me 20 damage, I'm going to be down to 45. Take it on 3 monsters with only 1 monster of yourself. Maybe I should have chose something other than Humongous to take on. Something with higher health. I'm not sure. But I'm going to go ahead and rocket launch to deal a monster 30 damage. I'm going to go ahead and deal it to the Behemoth. So that will actually kill it off. And that will be 1 for me. I'm going to flip it over to show that it's dead right there. But then my creature... my monster then has to take 20 damage itself. So now I've taken a total of 45 damage out of my 50 health. Oh, yeah, I'm going to need to save some of these... I'm going to need to save some of these cards in my hand, these evasions, and choose not to discard them at the end of my turn. I will play this support card right here. It's a deadlocked. Once activated for 2 of your turns, including the turn this card was activated, no monsters in the combat zone can attack. So, I think that might actually be good. I might actually want to activate this. So, yeah, no monsters in the combat zone can attack. I think I'm actually going to do that. I'm actually going to activate it right away, and I'll put a turn timer on there. So, for the next 2 turns, yeah, 2 turn timers. Oh, not 3, only 2. I'll go ahead and take one of those back. So no monsters in combat zones can attack for the next 2 turns. Alright, that might help me last out a little bit longer. Alright, and seeing if I can build up some stuff. Okay, so I wonder if that's each player's turns. Account for them and for me. You know, it once activated 2 of your turns, including the turn this was activated. Okay, so this turn counts. So we're only going to put 1. So this is 1. So because I'm ending my turn right now, so 1 of those comes off. Alright, so now we'll go to the monster's turn. So no combat, no monsters can attack. So support cards will not be able to damage me, but I can still take environmental damage. So let's go ahead and keep my fingers crossed. We don't draw a card for Behemoth because it's already dead. So we'll go to Tarantula, turn their card. Oh, it is a support card. Support cards deal me 5 damage. But, oh no, support cards count as attack. Nope. So I do not take that. And I don't have to counter because no monsters can attack. So let's go ahead. The Giant, let's flip for them. Make sure it's not environmental. Nope, it is a counterattack, which means it's nothing. Alright. So now it goes back to my turn. You guys had your turn. Alright, let's see if I can build up stuff. I got 3 cards on my hand. I'm going to go ahead and draw 2. We'll do 1 more turn for me and for the monster. See if I can actually make it through this a little bit. Well, they're not going to be able to attack me next turn. Yeah, I think I'm going to put this down. I'm going to play a card called Collateral Damage right here. So once activated, on this turn only, deal 5 extra environmental damage for each monster in your combat zone per environmental played. Only 1 collateral damage can be activated per turn. So we're actually going to play that face down. We're not going to activate that yet. But this still is in effect right here for my turns. I can take damage next turn because that counts for this one too. So, it's end of my turn. We'll go ahead and take that off right there. So this actually goes in my rubble pile and gets discarded at the end of my turn. I've got 4 cards in hand, but let's go over here. So, Tarantula. Let's turn over the card. Ooh, it is environmental. Discard, deal 5 damage to an opponent, or 15 damage, sorry, to an opponent's monster, or discard to gain it. So, it actually has environmental damage. It will deal 15 to me, and since it is not counted as an attack, I cannot counter it. So, boom, my guy is dead. At least I took out one of their monsters. I didn't get any damage on the other ones. And that's how the solo mode is played. It's a little bit tough, but it can be done. I've completed it a couple of times, but obviously this time was just a little too much for Humongous. So, let's go ahead and get to the review. So as you can see, Monster Mania is a really good card game. It's fun. It's easy to learn. The rules are simple. It's got a lot of solo options in the back of it for different combinations of monsters that you can beat and different modes that you can play. It's really fun. So make sure you stay tuned for our multiplayer preview video that me and Gothy will be going head to head, and you see how some of the combos and different stuff work in that. So I'm Logan for Logan Chops Previews. This is Monster Mania by Meet Me at the Table Games, and it's coming to Kickstarter December 1st. We'll update the link to the Kickstarter in the description when it goes live. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming.